Several
You can't make this stuff up.
No, this is right from the transcripts. Several survivors of the 9/11 attacks and their representatives, of those killed, brought a federal complaint against Saudi Arabia and Iran, which is a little different, alleging that that Iran knew about the attacks and helped plan and coordinate them. Now, as we've talked about on the show, no question, Saudi Arabia participated. Saudi Arabia Prince, the family, the royal family, financed it. The family knew what was happening. Most of the people involved in it were Saudi Arabian nationals. So obviously, Saudi Arabia, you can sue Saudi Arabia now because of JASTA. JASTA is a law that was passed by both sides. Both Democrats and Republicans jumped on this opportunity to pass a law that says, you know, we ought to be able to sue Saudi Arabia if they're involved in terrorist attacks. Before JASTA, the only way you could sue a country was to say that they were on a terrorist list, okay? And that came from the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act,
right? And
you could sue them that way. But so Iran now is back in it. Tell us what the theory of the case is.
There's a couple of different fact patterns that lead to liability for Iran here. One is that there was a pathway essentially from Iran to Afghanistan for 8 of the 11 hijackers. So they went from Iran and Afghanistan and back and forth, and their passports weren't being stamped. So it was easier to get back and forth, and that came from the higher-ups in the Iranian government that helped facilitate the bombing and helped train the bombers, the attackers.
But really, they also found records, and now again, full disclosure, I'm suing Iran for terrorism throughout the country, actually bringing the banks to where the banks washed the money for the operatives in Iran, and it was sent all over the country, and people, Americans, all nationalities were killed in terrorist attacks. So we're suing the bank to show how they washed the money. So we're going after Iran. We started out suing Iran. But in this case, what's coming up in this case is it's very clear that Iran had the same plan, which was the 9/11 attack.
And that came from the documents.
Came directly from the documents. They had the same plan underway. And the allegations here are that they shared that with the people that were involved in the attack. And actually, when you look at what they had planned, it is just exactly
it was hijacking commercial planes and running them into buildings in D.C. and New York. That was part of the contingency plan, and it was all laid out in documents that were found when they killed Osama bin Laden in his compound, and it all led back to Iran. So this lawsuit is kind of rolling back the immunity and the protections that we gave, and gives a pathway to recovery.
And what people don't understand is, you know, there are billions of dollars of assets in Iran right here in the United States that you can go after if you get a judgment. So this case,
that's where you hit them.
Yeah, this case has real potential. What I'm seeing about this case is my bet is that Iran won't even answer it, and that Iran will default. In other words, they'll say, we're not even going to try to defend ourselves here. They'll default, and then the next hearing will be, well, can we go after their assets?
You know what I like about this line of cases, though, that you're seeing in the bank cases that you guys are doing on the terrorism side is it's very similar to the model used by your friend Morris Deese in Alabama. It is, if you can't necessarily go after the conduct, go after the money.
Yeah.
Hit the bottom line, grab the money, dry up the money, make it difficult, and just evaporate the tools, the money.
Yeah.
And by going after the assets, I think you're really going to see more than some of the military conduct that's, ebbs and flows back and forth in the Middle East. You're going to see them hitting the bottom line. You're going to see it make it more and more difficult for them to act.
Well, you had several banks in the UK and the United States that already pled guilty. Mm-hmm. Nobody went to prison, but they pled guilty to, yes, we did wash money for terrorist groups. Billions of dollars worth of terrorist group money. But the point is, what people don't understand, they ask, well, how do you tie it up? Well, we have forensic people that can say the money originated with this person, maybe in the royal family. The money then went to UBS, wherever it might have gone.
Right.
UBS washes the money. Then the way it gets to the street is everybody, take Al-Qaeda, for example. You think Al-Qaeda is one organization, but it's actually a series of organizations. It's like the Crips and the Bloods. Crips on 42nd Street, Bloods on 50th Street. The same thing happens with these terrorist organizations. So what the forensic types are able to follow the money all the way down to the street. They're able to find out where did the money go from the bank, what bomb maker did it go to, where's the area that the bomb maker operated in, and they can even and they can draft it down right to the point to where the explosion takes place. And you can't do it with 100% certainty, but you can do it with what they call within a reasonable degree of forensic probability. And that's really all you have to get. You have to get past that threshold. Was there a reasonable degree of forensic probability that the money that was initiated with the royal family there in Saudi Arabia or in Iran, it initiated there, went to the bank, and then ended up on the street after it was
after a series of transactions.
After a series of transactions.
This is really sophisticated.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom.